Okay, so welcome. So we have been introduced to Panorama, and Panorama is a social emotional measurement tool, and it also has so many different aspects. But today we're going to focus a little bit on the SEL piece. So what Panorama does is it helps schools and districts support the whole student. So we can start to measure students and districts supports and SEL skills. We want to start looking more at our students' SEL skills. We've always had that academic data in place. We've always had that attendance data in place. But Panorama will offer through some surveys a broader format and a broader way to access all three components. So we've got our academic piece, our attendance piece, and now we can have that SEL component as well. So in my opinion, I was kind of gathering my thoughts around it. It's a little bit of a one-stop shop. It's just a nice platform that gathers all our data. Our SEL pieces here and there have not been very cohesive. So now we're able to have a platform where everything is housed and included. And there's so many different aspects of Panorama as we go through the dashboard today, where you can filter and sort with all three of those components in mind. So it's always good to define what is our why today. So our why is to better help us understand the social emotional competencies of the whole child and how they are supported academically, socially, and emotionally in the classroom. And we now can do this through the lens of Panorama. Okay, we just got a little icebreaker, a little check-in today. So if you could share in the chat which cat or cats, you might be a hybrid kitty this morning, I certainly am, which cat or cats best answers the question, how are you? So type in which kitty you are today. Oh, I already saw number 4, which is great. She looks so content.
And yes, we made it to winter break almost.
Right? I kind of feel like a 3, but I know tomorrow I'm going to feel more like a 4. I hope no one's feeling like a 2, especially as a presenter. So thanks, that's awesome. Jody, you want to look through some of the chats?
We had a variety, but a lot of them are 4s, 3s and 4s.
Oh, that's awesome.
So those 1s and 2s, go easy on us, okay?
Oh yeah, exactly. One's a little glaring, a little daunting. Okay, so before we get into the Panorama platform, I just want to highlight the social emotional competencies that we want our students to have. And these 5, what these are called are the CASEL 5. CASEL is the Collaborative for Academic, Social, and Emotional Learning. And they're the world's leading source for research as far as SEL goes. They've been around for 25 years. So CASEL is definitely the go-to that we take as our kind of a foundation of what skills we want our students to have. So there are 5 broad and interrelated areas of competence that we want our students to have: self-awareness, social awareness, relationship skills, self-management, and responsible decision-making. And CASEL's framework takes a systematic approach that emphasizes key practices in addition to high level of instruction. I know in the beginning of the school year, many of us were introduced to, as far as the teachers, were introduced to, how to present our material. We have an icebreaker, something that's welcoming to all students. We have engaging lessons, they're interactive, they're collaborative, and then we have an optimistic closure where we have some reflection time. So I wanted to highlight these because these are so important as we continue to build some foundational skills for students and then continue to build on skills that students may already have. And Panorama nicely aligns, or Castle, it goes both ways. Castle nicely aligns with the Panorama format. So as we explore Panorama today, we'll be able to very easily tie in these social emotional competencies that we want our kiddos to have. Okay, I'm going to pass it off to Yvonne, and she's going to take a little bit of a deeper dive into Panorama and what it is.
Good morning, everyone. So what is Panorama and why do we need it? And how does it support MTSS? So Panorama helps us support SEL and MTSS through surveys. So you will be having a social emotional survey that would strengthen and improve the areas that your students might need help with or need to improve. And then we also have a platform, and through the platform, there's a dashboard that would provide you with high levels of insight into students, whether it's behavior, and we're still working on how we're going to correlate behavior, attendance, academics, as well as SEL. And the data is held for SEL attendance and behavior. It will be held in this platform, but also the grades for elementary at the moment will be looked at through iReady. And in the future, you will be using Aries as the middle school does now. And you will have training regarding this probably next school year, so that all the components are in one area and can be transferred to Panorama easier. And then you also will capture the different tiers of data for the whole child. So you'll be able to see social, emotional, academics, attendance, and behavior. And why are we doing this? So the way that Panorama helps with tier 1 is through the universal survey, and it's taken as a whole through the whole school. So it will be from K through 8th grade. And the data is composed of different domains where they would ask questions, and in the upper grades, the kids will answer the question. In the lower grades, the teacher will need to assist according to what they know regarding their individual students. And then also you'll be able to use a playbook, which will help you integrate lessons for SEL as a whole classroom, individually, and also when it comes to counseling, we would be able to assist with that. Or if we have groups, we'll be able to assist with your help and ours on seeing how we can better assist each individual student. And also, oh my gosh, my light went off. How it relates to tier 2 and 3 is that with the data regarding grades, academics, behavior, attendance, and SEL, you'll be able to provide interventions for individual students or small groups, whether it's academics or SEL. And furthermore, also you'll be able to see the whole child in the platform. So you'll have one area where you can see the whole child rather than trying to find different information through different platforms or devices that you might need. Next. So why social emotional learning? So there's many aspects. There's academic gains up to 13%. There's also improvement in classroom behavior, stress management, not only for students, but as well as the teacher, because when negative behaviors start decreasing, it brings a positive atmosphere in the classroom, and everyone learns better and the teacher is able to teach. Also, there's a gain of investment of 11-1. And this has to do where attendance increases due to positive behaviors. And also students start to feel better. There's less anxiety, less depression. They have positive attitudes towards self and others. And also there has to be less interventions where probably the dropout rate decreases as well in the higher grades. And the students feel like they want to be at school because they're feeling supported not just academically and through attendance, but also emotionally and socially. And there's a little clip that's going to tell you a little bit more about how this has affected different districts and schools within our country.
I'm a data guy, I like numbers, and we have a lot of evidence that social emotional learning has made a difference.
We had a graduation rate of 62%. Last year, we put up a record-breaking 84%.
Over the last 5 years, our expulsions have been cut in half.
We were suspending about 13,000 days of out-of-school suspension. We were 10 times the average for any school district in Ohio. And within that first year alone, we were able to reduce our out-of-school suspensions by 55%.
Attendance rates went up. We know that attendance is directly correlated to academic improvement and achievement, but it also had other outcomes that were extremely important, which is students feeling more connected to schools, educators having to think outside the box, helping students overcome some of the challenges that are in their life.
There's an 11-to-1 return on investment. So for every dollar invested in programming around social emotional learning, we're seeing that they're saving $11 on remedial programs, dropout prevention. There's lots of reasons that people are coming to the conclusion that this is something that we need to be prioritizing.
Okay, and now we would like you to please log on to the platform. So what you're gonna do is go to mystudent.panorama.com, and then you're going to go to sign in the Google. So like you click on sign in the Google, and then you should probably have your login for that already. If you're having difficulty, you please raise your hand and we can help you. Or also you can put thumbs up if you got it, or thumbs down if you're still struggling. So we're here to help you, and we'll give you about 5 to 10 minutes, depending how many people need assistance. Then we might give you a little bit less or a little bit more. So this is what the Panorama page should look like. And when you log in, you should be able to see that. So just make sure. Yes, it is mystudent.panoramaed.com. So that's what you're looking for.
Just if I could jump in at this for a second here. I did see in the chat, Ms. Bruins is asking for the URL again. Put your thumb in the air if you need us to put the URL in the chat for you. It's hard for me to see.
Also, it's an email that we got this morning.
Yeah, they sent us an email this morning.
Yeah, there was an email this morning too. We can throw the URL in the chat. It's my student here. I'll type it in there for you guys.
It's also in your other, if you have a focused box in Outlook, it went into your other box.
Mm-hmm. And it let you go straight in it, or you already have an account.
Yeah.
Just checking to make sure I spelled Panorama correctly. Panorama.
Andy, I don't have an account. I don't have an account.
You don't have an account?
No.
Christina, right?
at Whitaker. It says I don't have an account also.
Okay, so we missed the Coats and people, huh? I'm sorry about that. We'll shoot. Well, I'll email Miss Dr. Cantu about that. She'll communicate to the Panorama people. We'll get you in the system because you guys need access for sure. Yes, we're Miss Cedia, we're logging in with Google. And it would be your district Google account, not if you're at the middle school, it would not be the bpjh.net.
If you guys press the sign in with Google, it automatically goes in. So press that sign in with Google button and it should automatically let you in.
Mm-hmm. It would be your district Google account.
It's what you use to sign into Aries. So your email account and then the password is that. And if it didn't work with Google.
Okay, so I'm starting to get emails about access. If you guys would just send me an email separately about what you don't have access to that you need access to, I can relay that information to Dr. Cantu and to Panorama. Okay, and we'll get all that sorted out. And I apologize that wasn't sorted out yet. No, Jenny, it would not be the BPESD, it would be BPSD.us Google account. So it's the first letter of your first name, your last name at bpsd.us, that Google account. And if you've never ever signed into that Google account, you might have to do that first and then come back to the Panorama login to sign in. Okay. Thank you, Jody.
Andy, do you have a suggestion for like part of our students are there, but like Brianna doesn't have any students, she doesn't have anything. Do you have a suggestion for them to go
I'm
in?
supposed to be somewhere and I don't. Let's see.
I'm going to communicate to the Panorama people because what they have to change some things on their end. I mean, they're going to get into it. They pull all their data from Aries and it's just, they're just not connected up where they should be.
But for the training, is it going to be essential to be able to go in? Is there a dummy account or something?
There's no dummy account that I'm aware of, but they can, I mean, they're here, so they can just attend the training and look at what's going on and maybe take notes. And then after the fact, they can, because there's nothing I can do right now. I will email the Panorama people right now and we'll see if we can't get them that access. Okay.
Thank you.
Ashley, sorry, this is Eva. For the academics I'm looking at with my students, is that a combination of all the classes they have? Or is it just for the class I have with the students?
We are still trying to, we noticed some of the data is not completely either accurate or completely fulfilled in the input part of it. So we're still,
I'll get it.
Right now, we're still in the beginning stages of input everything. There's obviously a lot of hiccups. So I'm not quite sure how to answer that just yet. But we're taking questions, obviously, from today and troubleshooting with Panorama on everything that they're supposed to be doing on their end. So that's as helpful as I can be today.
Okay, thank you.
But Jody, do you have any feedback on that? Because we've been kind of trying.
That was my number one question when we got our Panorama training. I said, well, what about this data? The grades don't look right and I'm not exactly sure where it's coming from. So I think Andy had mentioned that it came from the gradebook summary as opposed to the grade book. And so I think that might be where some of the questions are as far as middle school level. With regards to elementary, I believe it's only iReady data that we have. Is that right, Andy?
Yes, because the elementaries keep their grades in Illuminate. So, and Panorama doesn't interface with Illuminate. So at the elementary level, it will be mostly iReady scores. And at the middle school level, it will be scores from, we never really got a definitive answer on that, but we believe that they're pulling from the grade reporting part of ARIES and a combination of that and iReady scores
Andy,
at the middle school level.
Andy, so the academic piece for the elementary schools is a combination of reading and math, correct then? Because it just is one. Okay.
So are you saying, Sonny, you're only seeing one score? Or are you seeing two?
Sonny, there's an overview and then there's ELA and mathematics if you click below.
Okay, so the overview is just a combo.
So we're gonna go over all of these things that you're looking at, and then we'll probably be able to answer your questions. One of the questions that I do see is some students have the same name. We will go over this, but if you click on the name, their ID number and their birthday and all of that will show up. So that's how you can differentiate which students are which. But we will be going over the aspects that you see, and hopefully that'll answer some of your questions.
Yvonne, do you want to continue?
Sure. So today's session's objectives are to be able to access and navigate Panorama. And as we can see already, there's a lot of questions, but we'll try to answer as much as we can or get back to you if we don't have the answers right now. Also is to identify insights by looking at data. And I know for elementary, there's not a lot at the moment, but we can still navigate through it. And so you can at least get familiar with how it will work. I believe at the moment there's attendance for elementary, and then I don't know what else. Obviously, because I don't use iReady, what else you might be able to see. And then also determine next steps of how you will use this data throughout the school year and to work along with your principals or with your teachers, as well as with your grade level teams and as a whole, okay? And so our journey today is one, the purpose is to learn what data is available to you and how to access it. Practice what success insights you can explore and elevate your school and your grade level teams, and plan how to take meaningful action through your students' data. So how to better assist them to make groups, and again, individually, how to help them, not just academically, but also socially and emotionally. And lastly, actually there's two more. Purpose setting is for you to, again, learn more about the data and how to use it. And we're gonna watch a short clip that's gonna tell you a little bit more about the purpose, the practice, the plan, and how to access it, as well as how to apply
it. This is me. I'm sorry, guys. So, oh wait, no, this is still Yvonne. So I keep going.
Can you click on the video for me? Thank you.
In school, there are many things that help students succeed. It takes strong relationships, deep engagement with content and teaching, and positive social-emotional skills to help students thrive as 21st century learners. It also takes passionate, well-supported teachers and families and communities who are actively engaged. These are the things that matter for schools. But sometimes these things are hard to measure. Data from traditional assessments and tests only provides a narrow window into student success. And as a school or district leader, you want the bigger picture. That's why Panorama makes the tools to measure, understand, and act on the data that matters most. Start with the topics you care about, from school climate and social-emotional learning to family and community engagement. Panorama gives you research-backed measures to collect valid and reliable data from all your stakeholders, while monitoring response rates in real time. Then explore your results. Teachers get data about the students in their classroom. Principals can see what's happening in their school. And district leaders can monitor trends and progress across the district. See how your results stack up against other schools and districts with benchmarks. Pull in attendance, coursework, and demographic data to see how different groups of students view their school. And explore strategies that have worked for other educators. All in one place. Growing students, supported teachers, engaged families, and clear data on the things that matter most. That's what Panorama does, so you can get back to doing what you do, helping to create the schools where students succeed.
And now lastly, before I turn you over to Jody, we're gonna talk a little bit about data sources, which Ashley explained a little bit and I explained, and now Mr. Osborne explained that we are using Aries for the middle school. That's where you access the grades for middle school. For elementary, we're using iReady. And then as soon as we do the rollout in January, you will be doing the surveys for SEL, and through that information, we will be able to implement it accordingly and do the interventions that are needed. And these resources will help you how to better understand your students and work along with colleagues and also parents, and obviously the community as things start to progress. And again, the data currently is being updated, but once everything's set in place, they will be updating data according to Panorama on a regular basis. Does anyone have any questions? Okay, Jody, I'm turning it over to you.
Okay, now it's me. Sorry about that before. So we're going to do practicing. I have seen in the chat section that there's a lot of teachers that did not have data or missing certain grades or things of that nature. I apologize on that. I know that Andy and Natalie will hopefully be able to address that perhaps in the future. But as of now, I'm going to just show you guys the Panorama, the student success data. So it's the platform. So the thing that's nice about Panorama is that you get to see all, which is like basically district wide, at least some. I'm not sure exactly what the teacher view is. Are you guys just seeing like the student view, or do you have a view as well, or district view? And I'll go into that a little bit more so you guys can see.
Sorry, we have a school view and a student view. We don't have a district view.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate knowing that because I didn't know what you guys see. So we're going to go ahead and take a little bit deeper look. And so I'm going to open up my Panorama so that way you guys can see what I'm seeing. So this is the one with the district view, and I believe that's just the admin access. And then you have the school and the students. And I will start to talk a little bit more about groups. Basically, this is like the main, if you click on student success, this is the view that you would see for the most part with the school view. On this side where it says view by, all of this is data pulled from Aries. So this is how you can kind of filter out things based on different criteria that you might want to be looking at. And I am going to go here. So student success. Sorry for the delay. Okay. So all the way down, so you have all the demographics information, and even at the bottom, they even have like what their, whether it's a homeroom teacher. I'm just going to go ahead and go to a school view since that's what you guys see. So then it even shows like the homeroom teacher as well as language fluency, special ed, and even further down, it talks about they have ways to filter with regards to increasing or decreasing like attendance or academics. Whenever you hover over or if you click on any of these colored squares, it will tell you what it is. So for instance, we have 51% of students at Beatty that are on track or good for in their academics. I know my big question is, what does that mean? So does that mean that they have, you know, all C's and above, or that is something that I'm still wanting to find out. So unfortunately, I'm not able to specify that. But when we go into, let's see, student view, if you click on student view, this is where you can kind of dive even a little bit deeper. And so I believe these are all the different quarters. Andy, do you know S1? Is that Mark 1 progress reports? And then is this first quarter report card? S2, is that progress reports? Do you know that?
Yes, it's probably progress reports. Are we looking at middle school right
For the
now?
time frame?
Mm-hmm.
This is at Beatty, yeah.
Yeah, then that's probably, yeah. S1 is probably progress reports and SF is.
And if you
So just so you know, they have the different quarters and you have year to date and everything here. If you look at this little blue arrow, that expands the section. So you can kind of see how students are doing in ELA, in math, and history, and science, foreign language. And then even here, it has some specific subjects, and then others are perhaps lumped into a different group of other. So, so just so you have that idea, or so you know about that. Let's see, with regards to attendance, it actually tells you what it is. So for on track, it says on track for college and career readiness. Basically, it means that they have 95% or more attendance. And then students that are on track is 90% to 95. And then it goes to 80 to 90, and then below 90 or below 80, excuse me. So those are the criteria. So when you click on one of these things, for instance, if I click on that, it's gonna just only show all of the students that we have that are at that criteria, the critical criteria of attendance. So, and then you can even try to decide, okay, of those students, where it looks like all of them are also at risk for academics. So that kind of follows there. And so this is kind of where you can kind of expand and see to start sorting with groups. Now, I'm gonna go ahead and go back and show you an actual video so you are hearing more from the experts about how to look at this. And then we're gonna have you guys create a group as well, 2 different types of groups. And we're gonna learn about that right now. Why do we not have sound?
Static groups and smart groups. The main difference between the two is what you would like to track. With static groups, unless you add or remove students from the group manually, the list of students you select will remain the same. You might use this kind of group to identify students you support through extracurricular activities or an after-school program. Smart groups, however, allow you to monitor students based on criteria that they meet. So you could have a smart group to keep tabs on which 12th graders are at risk of course failure, or which 9th graders have low perceptions of their SEL skills and have declining attendance over the past week. With smart groups, the list of students appearing from day to day is subject to change based on who fits the criteria you have selected. To get started, brainstorm a list of static and smart groups that you would like to create. You can pause this video and then resume once you have your list. Together.
So that's what I would like for you guys to do. We're going to put a Jamboard in the chat box. And I just want you guys to think about what are some types of groups that you would be interested in creating? So just to review, a static group is only groups that that are fixed, that you want to monitor a specific group of students. Sorry, what's going on here? This is not in order. So static groups are monitored set students. So you can add or remove them manually. Just as the lady had said that it could be a lunch group, it could be a basketball, it could be clubs, it could be students that are at risk in reading level. It could be newly enrolled students, it could be our newcomer students. So static groups are ones that you actually select. The smart groups are students that will change with data when the data changes. So maybe some students that are at risk of attendance, maybe they start coming and they're maybe not as at risk anymore. So then they'll be removed from those groups. So there's fluidity with the smart groups, whereas static is specific students. So I would love for you guys to try to think about what are some of these ideas of groups that you are interested in learning about. So for instance, what sixth graders are at risk academically with declining attendance? Or what students have a low growth mindset? And that would be data coming from the SEL survey. And so for those, you just use this little sticky note to click, and then you can type in anything in there. And then if you could use the blue notes for the static groups, and then the other one, the orange for smart groups. Okay. Beautiful. We'll take a few minutes to kind of pull the information.
FYI, I'm getting there's too many people, try later.
Is it just? Is it? I didn't even think about that.
Too many people on the Jamboard.
Okay, so maybe once you put something on, go ahead and close out of the Jamboard, so that way, there we go, we're getting some more responses.
We've jammed the Jamboard, RRR.
We're jamming up the Jamboard?
Yep.
So we've got math interventions, SARB students, students with low self-confidence, reading groups based on iReady ELA scores for smart groups. We have for static groups, EL learners. Why does the attendance not track students who are not participating? Looks like it's just tracking absences. I'd like to make a group for students marked N consistently. At risk of retention students, foster youth, IEP students.
Yeah, if you are able to add to this Jamboard your concerns or suggestions, I can pass that along to the Panorama people. If it's in Aries, we can connect it up for sure. Now, having said that, attendance is a little different, as we all know this year. So there might be some limitations with the attendance piece, but we'll check in with them about it, and we'll do the best that we can.
Oops. These are all great. So
I see a question in the chat.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, real quick. I see a question in the chat from Ty Lu. Ty, I'm not really sure why your grade, you guys posted your grades last Friday, so I'm not really sure why they're not showing up yet. There might be a delay of some kind.
Got an answer on
was there an answer?
Yeah, the grades won't go to history until the office finalizes them. So though they're in the system, they won't go to the history, which is what it's pulling.
Thank you, Mr. Bagger.
So as you guys are thinking about the types of groups that you guys would like to do, this is going to lead into you guys actually making groups of your own. And I think I saw that some teachers don't have any students, so that's going to maybe be a little bit challenging. But at least I want you guys to be able to see how to do it. And all of these links to the videos are going to be shared, so that way we could always go back to look and reteach ourselves. Let me see. So we're going to go back to how to create groups. All right.
Together, we'll go over how you can create these groups to better support students. Let's walk through creating static groups. As a reminder, static groups are made by selecting specific students that you want to support or check in on regularly. If I'm an 8th grade teacher, at the beginning of the year, I might create a static group of students in my lunch bunch so I can keep up with how they are doing throughout the year. These students won't change, so a static group is the best way for me to keep track of them. We'll start on the students page. I can limit my list of students to just 8th graders, and then, using the checkboxes, select each student who is participating in my lunch bunch. Using the ribbon at the top, select Add to Group. You'll see a pop-up that will ask you if you want to create a new group or add students to an existing group. I'm going to click Create New Group. Name your group something easy to remember so that you can return to it later. And then click Create. You'll be asked to save your group. If a student joins my group, I can always add them to the group using the Add to Group button on their profile. If a student leaves my group, I can always remove them from the group by clicking on the checkbox next to their name. Use the Remove button in the ribbon that appears to remove them from the group. You'll be asked to confirm. Take a moment to create a static group of students you are supporting this year. Then resume this video to learn about Smart Groups. Now we'll discuss how to create.
All right. So for those of you guys are up for it, try to create a static group. And as a reminder, again, these static groups are specific groups that you are wanting to view. So that will not change. So for instance, in that in the Jamboard, I saw newcomers, non-English speakers. That could be a static group of students. I know for clubs, for instance, or even speech, even elective students or speech and debate or certain types of groups. So go ahead and try to create one group, and we will show you how to share it after we learn about smart groups. So you have 5 minutes. I have had some messages asking, how do we do the groups again? And so I'm just going to go ahead, and here are the steps. So you use the check boxes to select students that you are supporting this year, which ones that you would like to use. And then you're going to use the purple ribbon to save these group of students. So I'm going to go to my Panorama, and So I'm just going to pick, for instance, these 3 students. And I'm going to add to group. Here's the ribbon that they talked about. Add to group. And this is where it says create new group. And then you put in the type. And then you click on create. And that group has now been created. And then you can save. And then you'll see groups in, did that help? I'm seeing a search bar. How to make a group. Okay. RSP has no students. Okay. I can, if you guys want me to go to a different school site, I could also go to a different school site and I can show you sort of some of the parameters if you'd like. Let me go to an elementary. And again, for those that are wanting to specify specific groups, here's where you can go in the demographics. If you click on one of the topics, it's going to filter it. So this is all 5th graders at Corey. And if you want to know if they're a special ed, for instance, there was one that said that they wanted IEP students. So here is special ed, all 5th graders, and here is the list of the students. So if you wanted to watch them, you can select them all and then create add to group. Or here, sorry, over here it says select all. You can select all so you don't have to click on every single one. And then you can add to group. And that's where you can create a group and type in the name.
Jody, I have a question. I'm trying to do a low EL group and there's 2 kids I know who have almost no English and they're not showing up as low in EL. Are they maybe they didn't do the iReady or what reason would you give for that?
They probably, I'll answer, they probably haven't finished the LPAC assessment yet and been added to, because I think they're new to us this year.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Mrs. Shiohama, I know it says intervention has no students also. Esther is actually going to go through the intervention section where you guys can actually create specific interventions. So everybody probably does not have any interventions yet. Those are things that you guys could create with the groups that you have.
So Jody, this is Stephanie.
Yes.
So as it's pulling from Aries, intervention teachers, RSP, codes and mentors, they're not going to have any students because they don't have rosters. So hopefully they can get school-wide access because they will actually be pulling from the entire school.
Yes, I was trying to put in the chat that I'll change access
Perfect.
to those who are at more than one school or have a variety of groups.
Awesome, thank you.
So I will work on that now.
Thank you. So then also with regards to the groups, if you wanted to see the groups that you have, then you would go into this little section at the top left where it shows your school students and then groups. And then you'll see this is where I had my group. And this is also where, so the test group. And this is also where if people want to share groups with you, it will show up here. So Eric had shared with me a group on 6th grade students with declining attendance, and it'll pop up here. How are you guys feeling about these static groups? do you put students into more than one student group? Marissa, you can put students in more than one group. It's just, you just add the groups. So you just create each group, have a new name, and you can put more than one student in a different group. I hope that makes sense. Attendance incentive plans probably means so. I need that drop down. How do you find a few students from my entire? Good question. How do you find a few students? So you see right here, there's a section where it says find a student. You can go ahead and look at that, search for a student. So I'm just going to go Joseph. And then all of the Josephs that I have are shown. So I'll choose this one. And then you can add to group. And then you could create a new group. So I'm just going to say test 2, create, save. And then you can find, I don't know, James. And I find that person, that student, and you click on that student. I think it's just taking really long to change. Okay, let's go John. But of course, nothing, it's not working for me right now. But that's where you can just find a student. How do you delete a group? Okay, so I'm going to go to my groups. And again, that's found at the top corner here. What is taking so long? Okay, and I'm going to select the group. Where? Right here, it says delete. I'm going to go ahead. Are you sure you want to delete this group? I sure am. And I delete the group. Go ahead and answer. Unmute yourself. Please. All right. Can you edit a group name once you have created it? Yes, you can. You could definitely edit it. Let's see. How do you? I need to create another group to show. Okay, let me do that really quick. And by all means, if you guys, I'm trying to keep track of the chat. So if you want to say something as well, you're welcome to. I welcome it. I'm going to go 6th grade. All right, so I've got these guys are adding a group. 6th grade at risk. And over here, I forgot to mention right here where it shows overview, if you want to clear the filters that you have created, you just click on clear all.
Jody, one of the questions is how do you sort them by class period? I don't think we can, right? Wouldn't you have to go
that's a great.
You'd probably have to just go and pick out the individual students.
We will write that down to find out if that's a possibility. I don't know for that answer.
To sort them by periods, yeah.
Can we? You know what? I'm not sure if you're able to edit the name of the group. That's what I was trying to do. I'll write down that as a question as well. And if we can, I'll let you guys know for sure. There is a way with regards to demographics, and I'm not sure how it works with elementary, but homeroom teacher, that you could definitely sort by first period. So that's one thing that you could do. What is this? All right, I'm gonna go ahead and go back to the groups, and we're gonna learn a little bit more on making smart groups, okay?
Create a smart group. Unlike static groups, smart groups are based on specific criteria that you would like to track, rather than specific students. Use the filters on the left to select the criteria that you want to monitor. In this case, I want to see which of my 9th graders have low perceptions of their SEL skills and have declining attendance. I can use the Save button to create my smart group. This group will change as the data in Student Success is updated, and students will move in and out of the group when they meet or no longer meet the criteria. Pause this video and create a smart group using criteria that are important to your work with students. Then return to the video to learn more about sharing the groups you have created and using them to support your daily work. Remember,
Okay, so now that you guys have started with the static groups, how about we try to do a smart group? So again, the way you do the smart group is you're looking at specific details. So I'm looking at my English language students, or oh, that says English only, sorry. My LEP English learners. And I want all grades. Where? Oh, the attendance. There we go. Well, that's not right.
Do you only pick one item in each of those lower ones, the indicators and trending? So you would only use like the academics in indicator and then one thing in the next one down? Or can you pick more than one, or does that confuse the issue?
Oh, no.
You could select more than one.
Okay, I just didn't know how that would change what it's doing or reporting or whatever.
Sorry, I was in groups. So now I'm in students. So that's what kind of messed me up. Sorry about that. So in students, so then we can go ahead and start doing all the filters. So at our school, we have 132 language English proficient students.
So right now you could see that Jody is selecting students, who were at risk academically for ELA and also who are the English learners. So you can select more than one, but it'll filter more as you select more.
So now that 132 went down to 93 because I chose at risk for tier 3. I'm also going to try to find my students that are declining in attendance. Now it dropped down to 6 students. And so this could perhaps be a group. So
the question, is it just for a whole grade level? So Jody is using the whole grade level, but you can just select teacher because there is that filter on the left side as well.
And I'm pretty sure that the attendance is just for first period. It does not keep track as far as middle school goes in between periods. It doesn't pull the hero data. So unfortunately, that's not as helpful. All right, I'm gonna go back to finish off the video, and we're gonna show you how to share your groups.
Remember that you can always view groups you've created and groups that have been shared with you on the Groups tab. Once you have created a group that you think other educators need to see, you can share it with them directly from the platform. The educators you select will receive an email inviting them to the group, and the group will show up on their Groups page. You'll also see other options on each Groups page, including exporting and printing. Exporting a group will start a download of a CSV file that you can view in Excel or Google Sheet. This can be helpful if you would like to view the data in another format or to further analyze the numbers that you're seeing. Printing allows you to print your group, to share it with other educators in a meeting, or save it as a PDF and reference it at another time. You may also delete your group if you no longer need to reference it. Now that you know how to create groups, you can easily track and manage the different groups of students you are supporting. Clicking into a student's profile from a group gives you clear insight into how they are doing, how other educators may be supporting them, and how the work you are doing with that student is important.
All right. Thank you, Panorama, for that video. I hope that was somewhat helpful as a taste to what Panorama can do with regards to the groups. There was a comment, can we use some of this data to create the scores group and for, what do you call it, in the middle school level? And that's like basically targeted intervention. And I definitely believe we can. I'm sure we can, once we figure out how we can get all the data as accurate as possible, and that make sure that all the teachers are getting their students, I'm sure that this is a really amazing platform in order to do those efforts. I am very pleased to say that after you share a group, it's break time. So we're gonna do about a 15-minute break. But you know, if you have any questions, I'm gonna stay right here. So I will do the best that we can. I really am, we're keeping track of all of your wonderful questions so that way we can better support you.
Hey, you guys are doing good. Jody?
Yes.
I just discovered a few things. For those teachers that are more than one site, I originally gave them admin that they could go across sites, but I discovered that I needed to actually click the actual site that I can choose the variety of sites. So if people are, there's two, Arlie emailed me and Katie emailed me and Shelly emailed me. So for those, I'm going back and trying to give them the access that they're requesting. Does that make sense?
Okay, I'm sorry.
Oh,
so
okay. Hey, Shelly.
So Yvette, you're just saying that the folks that are at multiple sites have been given multi-site access already?
Yeah, I'm
They
working
just
on
have
that
to-
now. I originally thought if
Okay.
I gave them admin, because there's a choice, teacher, admin, district. So I thought if I gave them admin, they could see different sites, but I need to then check the exact sites, either all or the exact sites. So I'm just playing around with my end of it. So, and like, thanks, Shelly. So I can now go back and give more than one site. Still keep you as I have to change them to admin, but then I can give more than one site.
Melissa, James, I see your comment in the chat. We'll look into it. It seems like there are still a few things that aren't quite connecting up. And,
Yeah.
you know, I just urge you guys to be patient, which I know you will be. These sorts of things don't come up until the training, because there's just no way that we could look into every single teacher beforehand. So thank you for reporting that to us. We will look into it. We will
I was
fix it.
just adding on for Yvette that if she did give me access, admin access, I only have Emory on there. So
yes,
I know it takes time. So no, Andy, I want it right now.
Yeah, no, Melissa, you're right, Melissa.
Thank
That
you.
was my mistake. I thought if I just gave you bigger access, you'd have more schools or kids, but you don't. So I have to.
Oh, I see.
Very
Okay.
precise.
Yeah, no worries. I just letting you know.
Yeah, no, I appreciate that. So we can get it right.
And Yvette, this is Katie. What you did for me worked. So
Oh, good.
So.
Third time's a charm.
It's okay. Thank you.
Thank you for your patience.
Hey, Joe.
Arla, to answer your question, this isn't similar to Swiss. I know that program was pretty cool, but it does have all of the data that hopefully we can get it all accurate and the way we want to use it all at once. So we could see the whole child, because that's the whole purpose of this is with MTSS, we talk about the whole child and reaching all students. And so that's what this is hopefully going to help us do. As we get the SEL surveys, that is the component that we were lacking, that we never had before.
Right.
So
right. I think part of it, excuse me, part of the Swiss program that I appreciated was it really helped support the PBIS team and the CAST team for different reasons. You know, whether it be, I mean, Swiss was more behavior, right? But it looks like Panorama incorporates both of that. But what I liked about it is it would I could just generate a report every week. It would give me like a hot day, like Wednesday, this is when we had the most behavior incidences. And there was a trend. So I could anticipate, okay, Wednesdays is a day we need to make sure we are fully staffed in certain areas, like the primary playground at 10 o'clock on Wednesdays is when the most behaviors occurred on site in second grade. You know, does that make sense? It was very targeted, so you could use preventative measures to help out the PBIS team. So I was wondering if Panorama did something similar to that, just to help the CAS team and the PBIS team.
I haven't seen the behavior data, to be quite honest. So I don't know how that will look.
Okay. Because it would
Can
be
Yvette or Andy add, or
it would
I don't think we really
You're
have
talking about the behavior recording in Aries?
In
Is that
Aries,
what you're talking about? Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's a lot. It would be difficult to pull because it's a lot of, how do they say, qualitative rather than quantitative data. It's a lot of narrative and text and.
Right.
I mean, you could pull like suspension codes, but you know, that wouldn't be a decision that I would be making.
Okay. And I know that Swiss, that program, one of the negatives was that you had to do a double entry, you know.
Yeah.
So when I was an admin intern, it was either Russell or I, we would, you know, the secretary would enter it into Aries and we would take that paperwork and enter it into Swiss. So it was, you know, double the work. However, the outcome was very beneficial, we found. I mean, it was beneficial. I was really disappointed when it was pulled. Personally, sorry.
Yeah, I think that was a county program and I think the
Mhm.
funding dropped out for it,
Okay.
but unfortunately.
It sounds like Panorama does have the potential maybe to grow into something and to incorporate something like this with Aries, and maybe Erin Munn can further tune, you know, fine tune Aries to make it more specific as to what teachers' needs are, whether teachers looking at behavior in the classroom or a team is looking at behavior school-wide at a campus, or like, you know, and or have that academic piece or that attendance piece. Looks
Yeah.
like a lot of good potential. So thank you, everybody.
Absolutely, and Erin has done a phenomenal job up until
for sure.
this point. I know she does a lot of stuff behind the scenes that you guys don't see, working with secretaries and getting data cleaned up and utilizing parts of Aries that we've never utilized before that have been there for us, you know, free of charge. And so, yeah, we will continue to refine. She will continue to refine this process and make it more better.
Super. Thank you.
More better for you guys. So.
Andy, I have a random question.
Mhm.
I'm practicing, excuse me, sorting my groups. All my kids in my math class should be special ed when I went in the demographics. And I'm showing 64 students in all my math classes total. But when I did the sort, looking at special education, 62 of the 64 meet that criteria, which is weird to me. And I'm trying to rationalize if there's a glitch somewhere, because they all, it should be 64 out of 64.
Yeah, that is odd. Perhaps something is off in Aries, not coded correctly for two of your students. So if you could shoot the name.
I gotta do another sort,
but
find out who. I haven't done the time yet to see who's dropped off. That's what I'm doing right now, is trying to figure out who may be coded incorrectly for that to have happened.
Yeah, and I mean, everything begins and ends in Aries. So if something, you know, it's not like we go into Panorama and fix, you know, because Panorama is the end point. So yeah, if you could communicate that to Cheryl Burgess, and she could work with Erin Munn, and we could try to zero in on what's going on with those two that aren't coming up as they should.
And I'm wondering
Figure
if
out
other
what, I'm
people,
sure it's just like a field somewhere that's just not,
exactly,
you know, just needs.
Yeah, that's what Andy, that's what I'm coming across is, you know, we're pulling from Aries. So if things are tagged and not updated, if they, maybe a student was one time tagged as a sped student, but they exited, they still may be tagged.
Yeah.
So I think it's just cleaning up that Aries data.
Right,
Yeah, and this sort of thing, we don't know is a problem until we have something like Panorama come along and we're like, oh,
yeah,
we do have some inconsistencies here. We do need to go and clean this and this up. So this is a good thing.
right.
Yeah.
But I'm wondering if I should also have other sped teachers who would show it on the roster and do this cross-reference that I'm doing, because what it's pointing to is exactly what we're saying. Something's coded wrong in Aries, because that should be 64 out of 64. Because these are all currently, you know, no one's exited of this group.
Okay. Good find. Good catch. Thank you, Susan.
And then Andy, Nicole had a question about.
I did. Yeah, actually, I'm sorry, Ashley. Go ahead and finish your thought, Ashley.
Oh, no,
sorry,
I
cut
just
you
thought,
off.
yeah, I said that's a great question. As far as collaborating with the staff, what other ways can we show better academic data?
Well, yeah, it's tough because as of right now, the teachers do not keep their grades in Aries. But I did respond to Nicole in private and mentioned that as of right now, the teachers do keep their grades in Illuminate, and Illuminate doesn't talk to Panorama. But at some point in the future, we will be moving elementary to Aries to keep their grades in Aries. And when that occurs, then we can pull academic data from Aries for the elementary teachers directly into Panorama as well. So unfortunately, at this time, we can't do it, but there will be a transition at some point. Too much going on right now, though.
Oh, totally.
So Andy, does Aries update the grades like day by day, or is it quarterly or bi-quarterly?
Well, my understanding is that there's a sync every day. However, we do need to get some clarity on what grades they're pulling from where. And it sounds to me like they're pulling them from the grade reporting part of Aries, which is, as you know, Jill, it was Jill that asked the question, right? As you know, grade book and grade reporting are two completely separate parts of Aries. So what I'm getting at is that data won't be fresh. It will be every quarter. It'll be quarterly for the middle school teachers, and it will be trimester for the elementary teachers. So I don't know if that's something that we can change with them. I can look into it for sure. I did raise that concern during our we got trained as trainers of trainers, and I raised that concern with them at that time. So we'll keep at it. We'll keep chipping away at it.
And real quick, Andy, it's only beneficial to pull from the grade book if teachers are syncing from Canvas to Aries. If they're not,
like,
if they're not,
right.
what's the point, right?
Right. And yeah, and hopefully teachers are syncing their grade books, and hopefully the sync is working. I have heard from some. I hear from some when it doesn't work, and I go in and I take, but I don't actively go in looking for, whether or not it's working. I don't snoop on the teachers that way. But if they report to me that there is a problem, then yeah, I do go in and I try to make it work for them.
What I'm saying is, for this to be as effective, for it to work with efficacy, so we can use it for its purpose on our part at the middle school, we need to give access to Panorama for the correct data, because it would be better if it came from the grade book, because then we don't have to wait 10 weeks, right?
Yeah, that was exactly the point I raised with Panorama and that training, that this data is not, it's not fresh. It's stale, if you will. It's a quarter old. When we did the training, it was last week when you guys were working on reporting, grade reporting for quarter 2. And I made that point. I'm like, we're looking at data from quarter 1 because the teachers haven't yet recorded their grades for quarter 2. And as Mr. Bagger pointed out, even now, even that those grades are reported now, they're still not in Panorama because they haven't been released yet.
And Andy, that matters for us elective teachers that only have students for half a year, because now I have student data with students I cannot contact because they've been pulled from my courses. I have new students coming up, but yet I have old students that I have data for, but I don't have access to those students anymore.
So this is a real concern, for sure, is what I'm hearing. So I will reiterate with them, maybe we can get that connector changed over. Hopefully we can get it changed over so that we get more accurate data, not more accurate, but more current data, for sure. And then like dominoes, it's a domino effect, right? Because you're keeping your grades in Canvas. The grade pass through has to work to get them into Aries gradebook, and then Aries gradebook can feed, if it can feed Panorama, it will feed Panorama. So a lot of pieces to the puzzle that makes me nervous, to be honest, but we'll get there.
Does anyone else have students that show up with like a little happy face snowman with a cap on it on your rosters?
It's their birthday. It's their birthday today.
Really? Is that what that is? I didn't check.
Yeah, I found that too. Isn't that cute?
Birthdays, yes.
So I can send a happy birthday message to these 2 students?
If you still have them. See, for us, we can't if they were in last semester's classes because they've already closed the books. And so we can't talk to our old students anymore. They're out of Parent Square and they're out of Canvas. So we have been locked out of them, but we can old school phone call them.
Yeah. Well, ironically, the 2 students that have the hat on my roster are 2 students that actually I was thinking, Oh, how appropriate. You know, oh, these students. Okay, birthday time.
I'm getting a lot of direct messages. I just want to say I don't think there's a way I can respond to all of them, but I'll try my best, you guys. Sorry, I'm getting an awful lot of direct messages.
And I just want to let you know that we are literally, Esther is copy and pasting all of the questions and comments that you guys are making. So that way we could hopefully put something more meaningful together for you guys.
All right. Are you muted? Okay. Hey, everybody. Esther. Oh, you need to mute, turn off your sound too, because it's echoing. Okay. All right, so I'm gonna take over the screen now.
If she has plug-in that she can plug in headphones, that will help you, Esther.
Yeah. All right, so I'm gonna start presenting. Okay, so now that you guys know how to create groups and select certain students for your groups, I'm gonna be talking about how to create interventions, if that's something that you guys wanna do, to track your interventions as well. So we're gonna watch this quick video, and then I'm gonna go through all the steps, step by step from the video. So you don't have to feel like you have to memorize it, but the video just kind of gives you like a quick overview of it.
Create and monitor your tiered interventions.
Sorry, hold on. I don't know why it's at a faster speed. Okay, let me start over.
We're excited to show you how to use student success to create and monitor your tiered interventions. This tutorial will walk you through finding students who may need more support and show how you can create and monitor interventions. Feel free to follow along and practice as I walk through the steps. You can use the data in Student Success to find specific students who may need more support. For example, an educator or group of educators might consider a list of students like this at a student support or RTI meeting in order to determine and log the interventions that they believe will bring students to their end-of-year goal. Let's take a look at this student who has scored persistently below benchmark during previous screening windows. Because the student scores put them at risk, this is a student we might want to support with an intervention. To create an intervention plan for a student, click the Create Plan button on their profile page. Here you can fill out a form with the details about the strategy you're hoping to use to support this student's progress. In this case, let's say they know their sight words, but struggle with decoding. Start by selecting the type of intervention and the tier. You can set a goal, like improve decoding ability. Pick your strategy from the drop-down list and assign a champion who will be responsible for updating the student's progress. The start date defaults to today, but it's possible to backdate an intervention that was started in the past. For this student, we're going to do an 8-week intervention, but you can select the amount of time that is best suited for the intervention you are creating. For the monitoring method, select what you'll use to track the student's progress. I'm using notes only because I'm going to enter qualitative progress updates. Once your intervention is created, you'll see it appear on the student's profile page. All of a student's intervention plans are available on their profile page. You can expand the plan to see more details, such as progress updates and notes. You'll also notice the buttons with more actions you can take, including adding a note, updating progress, and editing the plan. You also have the ability to delete a plan if it was created by mistake. The creator and the champion can manage the plan, but we also allow you to add other educators by using the Manage Team option. This gives you the flexibility to individualize students' support teams, allowing everyone to work together to support students in their educational goals. You can update the plan from the student's profile page or your My Plans page. When you update progress, you'll be asked to note whether the intervention was performed or not and assess whether or not you believe the student is on track, progressing, or behind in terms of their goal. When you are ready to complete a student's intervention, you can use the Complete Plan button in the dropdown. Select the date that the plan was completed and note whether or not the goal was met. You may also choose to make a recommendation for ongoing support, which can be a helpful way to inform a student's future interventions. You should complete a plan once the timeline of the intervention has passed, or if you decide to try a new strategy. Completed interventions will still appear on a student's profile page, providing clear insight into their past supports. First, click a student name. Then click Create Plan and fill out the details of the plan.
We'll do this in a bit later.
Click Create to save your plan. Then delete your plan.
All right, so I'm not going to have you guys do that right now. We'll do that in a bit after I show you the steps again, because I think it'll be easier once I show you. So like you saw, so this is what a student's profile looks like. And so you could see here, this is Frank Diaz's profile. So these things right here, these boxes are what we pull from Aries. And so it's the student's like ID number, their birth date, etc. And then here is like a snapshot of how they are progressing. And so these are their grades throughout the, so this one is quarter for us, it uses the S symbol. And then here, if there are intervention plans for the student, it'll have something here. For all of you guys, there shouldn't be because, you know, we didn't create any of them, so it should be blank. But if there are, then you'll see them here. And then on the right side, you see this button, it says create plan. That's what you would press to create a plan. So once you press on that button, that create plan button, then this pops up, this box right here. And it says like what type of intervention, like the video is saying, like what type of intervention, the tier, the goals, and all of that. So I'm gonna show you guys actually on my screen now what that looks like. Oh, hold on. Okay. So hopefully, I think you guys can all see my panorama screen, right? Okay. So this, I just chose Bono Park Middle School, and I'm gonna just create a plan for the first student that I see. So I'm just clicking Andrew's name. Okay, and I know that there's already an intervention plan here. It's because I was playing around with this. You guys could always delete the plans, by the way, so feel free to play around with this. Okay, so to create an intervention plan, you see on this right side, there's this button. You click on create plan. And now you can see this box pops up, right? So you would click intervention type. There's different intervention types, which tier it is, and then what goal. I'm just gonna put like test 1. And then actually what Panorama does is based on your intervention type, they actually populate some strategies. So, you know, ELA, so there's obviously ELA strategies. So, you know, I could click, you know, whatever it is, or you can of course add a custom strategy. So custom strategy meaning, you know, something that's not written on there. Oh, Heather Robson, can you please mute? I could hear your doggy. Okay, and then assign champion. So champion is whoever is going to be the one that's tracking and updating the data. So I could put myself, or if you want somebody else to track it, you know, you could put their name. And then the start date, like the video said, you could even backdate it, but it'll automatically choose today's date. And then how long, like how many weeks you want it to be. And then this is how you're going to monitor it. Notes means that you're going to be entering in notes. Sorry if you hear that, they're cleaning the windows right now. So yeah, so the notes, this is like, and you could use a custom method and how often you're going to update the notes. So I'm just going to put weekly. So I'm just gonna press create. And then it should create it. So you could see here that it was placed right here, right? The close reading one. So if you click on the intervention, like the video showed, you'll see these buttons. So more actions. So you could add a note, you can manage team. Manage team is if you want more people to be on that team so they could like edit it, update it as well. So you guys could add, you know, like whoever you want. I did see in the notes if you could add like a group of a team or if you have to write it in one by one. I do think at this time you do have to write in the names of your teachers or whoever like one by one. So I don't know if later Andy or somebody's going to be able to create like a group, but for right now, I think if you just have to add in the teachers' names one by one. And then, No, I don't know. They're no jump. Yeah. And then you'll see here it says team members will be notified through email. So if I sent this, then Ashley would be getting an email. Okay. And then if you want to update the progress, there's this button right here, this blue one, update progress. And so this is how you'd update it. If they performed it, not performed it, you would type in, you know, how is Andrew progressing? And then here, on track, progressing behind, don't know. So this is actually what Panorama uses, because later you'll see there's data that shows like how many students are on track, how many are not on track. It actually tabulates that for you. So that's what you would use. This kind of reminds me of like SACE, how you use it for people who have to do IEPs. It kind of reminds me of that. So yeah, and then you would just save that and it'll update that progress for you. So that's how you do individual individual intervention plans. And I'm gonna go back to my slides. Okay, so here, now we're gonna talk about group plans. So for group plans, you can create an intervention for an entire group. So you don't have to enter that same intervention over and over and over for like individual students. You could create a group. So kind of like what you guys already did, if you guys already have a group created, you can select those students. So like here, if this was a group that you already created, you could select those students and then create a group plan. Or you could just select new students, which I'll show you, and create a group plan that way too. And so I'll show you how to do that. So pretty much the steps are almost the same, except the number of students you're choosing for the group plan. And on the left side, so on your guys' website, you'll see kind of like, I would say this is kind of like your dashboard here on the left side. So my group plans, that is your group intervention plans. And then my plans, that's your individual plans. And then summary is pretty much everything. So that's what that is. And like somebody noted, there is that birthdays. So Panorama was just saying that they added this because they just thought it was nice if we knew, you know, when students' birthdays were, so we could like contact them on that day. So that's just like a fun feature that they added. All right, so I'm gonna show you now how to create the group intervention plans. Okay, so I'm gonna go back to students. So you would click on this students button here. And then you would just select students. I'm just gonna, you know, just check mark, just, you know, whatever student. And then here you see this purple bar pops up at the top. Gonna click on create group intervention. And then let's say you want more students. You could just type in names here, like whatever name you want. It'll populate names here. And then you would create a group name, the intervention type. So this is kind of like the same thing as the individual interventions. And then so you could select and then select the intervention goal, type whatever it is, the strategies, same thing as before, assign a champion, which is whoever is tracking it. And then you would also put how often you'll be monitoring this. And then on this left side here, you see this is kind of like your dashboard. If I click on my group plans, I have these test groups that I had created. And if you click on it, then it'll pop up who's in this group. So you'll be able to see who's in your group. And also when you click on this, the strategies part, you'll be able to see those steps. So it's the exact same steps that you saw. You could like, you could delete the plan here. You could update progress on here. So that's how you would edit it. And up here, you see where it says more actions right here, this button. This is how you could edit the group plan. So I know somebody asked if you can edit group names. That's when you're creating the static group. I don't know how to edit those names, the group names, but for sure for group intervention plans, you can edit it here. So you see, you could edit the group name to whatever you want. And then again, manage team, that's if you want more teachers to be added, and those teachers would be notified by email. So that's how you would do the group plans. Also, if you already have a group, so the difference, here on the left side, my group plans. So that's your group interventions. The static groups that you created, that will be here in the groups, this button right here in groups. So let's say I created this group, right? So this is an already created static group. And so I can create interventions for this group. So here it says select all. So I could just have it select all and then create group intervention. And then, the same steps, create the name, intervention types, etc. So that's how you would create your groups. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the slides now. And I'm going to actually have you guys practice for the next 5 minutes. So create an individual group, which is what this picture snapshot is. If you forget, you just create the create plan, and then you would select which intervention type and just create it. And you guys could delete it anytime as well, so don't worry about it. You guys could delete it. So feel free to create an individual group or a group individual plan or a group plan, and then so we'll just do that for like the next 5 minutes. Yes?
Remember we talked about the intervention strategies that are listed in there?
Mm-hmm.
And we were just trying to kind of figure out that's what Panorama populated as their suggested interventions.
Yeah,
correct?
so those interventions, actually we just have 30 seconds, so I'll just yeah. So those interventions are ones that Panorama populated, and Ashley's gonna go over something called the playbook later in Ashley's slides towards the end. But those interventions actually we didn't see in the playbook. I think those are some interventions that Panorama just put in there. I don't know if there's a separate academic playbook that Panorama has, not that we can see at least, because Ashley will be going over the SEL playbook. But yes, I totally agree, because I saw a teacher comment saying like, oh, what are these strategies? I would love to know more about them. Yeah, we don't have that information. We don't know what they are. But I know that those are strategies that they've created in there.
Does Panorama send any kind of reminder to us like, oh, that's right, on Mondays I was going to whatever? Does that come to us or we just have to look it up on Panorama?
What do you mean? Like reminders of?
Like if I was putting like I would do a weekly phone call or something like that, like, oh, that's right, on Tuesdays, blah, blah, blah. Like, would I get an email reminder or do I have to log into Panorama and, oh, that's right, I was going to call that kid?
Oh, actually, I don't know. I mean, that would be a good thing. We could definitely ask Panorama if that's an option, like if they could send reminders of things that, you know, to track or update. Yeah, I think that would be a really good feature. And I know like Panorama said that they're constantly updating their program too. So that could be something that we talk about with them. Yeah. I do see that there's a lot of questions regarding like can't find students or not being able to email or send things. That's more on the tech side, and I'm sure Andy's getting like a ton of messages right now. I know it's not perfect yet, like the data is not perfect, the student information is not perfect. So right now what we're doing, we're just giving you the basic overview, and hopefully once all the information does get inputted and everything's correct, then you guys will be able to use it obviously more effectively. But yes, I'm sorry that it's not up to date. I wish it was too, but you know, we're just taking it slow here. All right, so I'm gonna move on. So just a recap. So Jody went over this part, creating and sharing groups, and this link. So you guys will get this video and also a copy of all of these slides. And so this here, this link, the blue this, it links to the video that Jody shared. And then the middle box is what I just talked about, create and monitor tiered interventions. And so here it links you to that video. And then this here, we didn't go over this, but this is just some more MTS and SEL information. And so if you guys want more information, you guys can always go back to these links here. And so I am going to, oh yeah, and there's a Panorama Academy. This is also a link as well. So all of these blue underlined words are all links. And then so I'm gonna go back to my website really quickly. And so here, going back to my students, okay, and if you go to summary here, so this will show you like the overall, okay? So just letting you guys know, so this shows your overall. So these are all the these fake plans that I created, all my test plans, and it tells you how many of them on track. So this, remember I was talking to you about like when you do that update on progress, this is how it tracks it. So you know how many of them are on track, and also this on the right side, plans up to date. So that'll show you which ones you need to update. So if it says weekly, right? If you chose the weekly monitoring option and you haven't updated it weekly, then this up to date percentage would go down because you haven't updated it. And so it would tell you that. And if you press this blue, these blue arrows, it gives you more information. And then here too, it tells you what plans you have completed, meaning plans like the intervention plans that are done. So that would be in this box as well. And these are the ones that are in progress. Okay. And so we just wanted to see if there are any questions about how to use the platform, not like really data related, I would say, meaning like how to get students. If you guys don't have
student information. Hello. But do you guys have any questions? And you guys could unmute on like how to use these actual like platforms, like creating groups or doing the interventions. Hopefully this made sense. Okay, if you guys have any questions, yeah, feel free to put it in the chat. And then I'm trying to copy paste the questions. Obviously, I couldn't do that while I was talking earlier, so I'll go back into the chat and copy paste the questions into a Word doc. And then me and the counseling team with Panorama will try to answer all of those questions for you.
I have a question. You guys mentioned that they're going to do an assessment when we come back. How is that being rolled out? Do we know?
Yeah, so Ashley is actually going to be talking about that in like the next few slides. That's a perfect question. Yes. All right, so it's going to be Ashley who is next. So let me now mute myself and then Ashley, you can go.
Okay, so obviously this is going to be some time to plan and quite a journey that we are going to be on as we settle in with the data. So just kind of revisiting the planning or the steps here. So our purpose, of course, is to have clear student data, which will be something that we'll be working on. And Andy said it's a pretty daunting task at the moment, but we'll just take it step by step. The clear student data will drive what our actions and interventions will be. And of course, the purpose is to look at the whole child. So we've got that academic, attendance, and now the social emotional learning platform available. And then our practicing, of course, using the data, becoming familiar with it, figuring out groups that we can put together, interventions within grade level teams we can put together and share. And then our planning, of course, is going to be our rolling out our survey to give us a clearer picture of our students' perceptions and their strengths. And the considerations, getting familiar, sharing feedback. I already saw where I think Mrs. Kim had great, brilliant, had already emailed or did probably a chat with Panorama, and they were already getting back to her on some questions. So sharing feedback with them directly, of course, we're going to do our best to, when we meet with the team, to just hammer out all the questions that you've presented to us today. So the rollout plan, the next step will be for January. And we have a student survey that will be about a 2-week window in January, the beginning part of the month. So K through 2, the teachers complete the survey on the student's behalf. So it's the teacher's perspective of their SEL strengths and supports. And then 3rd through 8th grade, the student will complete the survey with the teacher's support. The survey they're pretty direct, pretty easy to navigate. They're short, they're not time consuming, but potential survey topics, and this is where we're still trying to come together and create, collaborate together, especially with Dr. Cantu's leadership on what would be good surveys for our district and for our students. So here's some potential survey topics. And even, for example, I know growth mindset is something we talk about. It's weaved into the curriculum. It's weaved into our instruction. So possibly using that, for example, as a topic. And it takes about 5 to 10 minutes for the upper grades to do it individually, 1 to 2 minutes for the teacher to do the survey on the student's behalf, what their perspective is on their strengths. And there's going to be between about 4 to 6 topics that we'll survey on. And then the topics contain about 6 questions on average, so they're pretty short. And then here's a quick video we'll watch.
Hi, I'm Amy from Panorama, and I'm excited to share more about Panorama surveys with you today. Panorama helps schools and districts capture the voice of their students, families, teachers, and staff through research-backed surveys that help guide improvement in schools. Research shows that topics like school climate, engagement, relationships, and school safety are critical levers for promoting student and school-wide success. With Panorama, you'll have access to valid surveys that collect feedback on a variety of these key topics. And it's easy to customize Panorama's measures to meet your school or district's needs. Surveys can be completed online using mobile devices or on paper and only take 10 to 15 minutes to complete. You can easily monitor response rates and promote participation throughout your survey process. What's more, Panorama comes loaded with hundreds of classroom and school level strategies in Playbook. These resources are aligned to the very topics on your surveys and are created by teachers and school leaders across the Panorama community, as well as expert content partners like Teaching Tolerance, to help you drive lasting improvements using your survey results. Best of all, our team is always here to help with professional development, training, and support. That's why Panorama is trusted to collect feedback for thousands of schools and districts across the country.
So the survey will probably end up being the easiest for us as far as once we gain those results, because those will be put in directly by Panorama. I think it's going to be, as I see the challenge today, just really getting that, the grade, the academic piece, and really cleaning up the data and making it more clear for us. So the survey piece itself will probably be one of the most simple pieces involved. The survey, oh, you can go ahead and do the next slide. So real quick, these are clickable links. So everything on here you'll have access to, and it goes through the group, sorting again, the static groups, and then the intervention piece. And it's just a broad overview of the Panorama Academy and all the additional resources. So this will be available to you as you start to navigate it a little bit more. And then the playbook is a really fun feature for Panorama. So once the SEL survey is out and we get the results, and then we take that data and we try to really hone in on what are some strategies and some action that we can take. They have a library hosted of hundreds of lessons that are inputted by Panorama and also teacher inputted. So these are great lessons. There's a lot of things on here, programs and things that we may be familiar with already. But if you click on, for example, Growing Leaders, and say one of our survey questions, talks about grit or, creating good habits and discipline. For example, the Discipline Bridge lesson, it's very quick. And these are just easy to access. You guys do such a great job already of integrating different types of activities, instruction, videos that are SEL related, but these are at our fingertips and they're really easy to follow. There's a lot of video, there's different practices to instill throughout the day. There's actual lessons to go ahead and do. And then you can also, at the far right, it shows the level of effort. So this was a really easy one. I saved it to my playbook, so you can create your own library and have it easy to access if you want to do a lesson with your classroom. So the playbook feature is very simple. It's really cool to be able to have these lessons and not have to search up too much on our own. And as we finish up, let's look at reflections and looking forward. So in the chat, and we had a lot of questions, a lot of things that we're going to have to really hone in on and dial in. But in the chat, go ahead and put a word or a phrase that reflects how you feel about moving forward with this, or something you learned today. And just, nice and simple. If you just want to put a word, phrase, and then a bonus point just to end on an optimistic note, and offer an appreciation for someone in the group. And I actually just want to say, and I know we've said this many times, but just as far as our teaching staff, you guys have taken on an incredible task over the last several months, and I'm just in awe of the teachers here and the level of work and time that you guys have put into the situation that's faced us. So we will wrap up. That's so nice. I see so many thank yous. That's really cool. And then I know Andy on the technical side has a lot in front of him, and we will do everything we can to become familiar with Panorama, the dashboard, and then we'll be able to answer questions hopefully a little bit more quickly for you guys. And then just getting back to Panorama directly through any kind of feedback, any type of email, and then that will help, I'm sure, you guys individually as you start to navigate this. But what I heard Jody say in a meeting when we were talking about this, it's kind of the missing puzzle piece for us now that we can incorporate that SEL component. So hopefully when everything does get dialed in and the data does reflect a little bit more, some more accurate lens that we can look through, it's really cool to be able to have it all housed in one platform. And then our last slide, Jody.
And there's also
thanks everybody.
One more.
Yeah.
Anything to wrap up, counselors?
Yeah, there is that survey.
Hey, guys, don't jump off the call just yet. I have a survey to share out.
Yeah, we're going to share a survey. Oh, thank you, Andy, for the reminder.
Oh, yeah, hold on. I see the number. People are leaving. No.
So real quick, Jody, before you guys roll out the survey, just so you know that the week that you guys plan to do the survey, it's also the first week where iReady opens up, and the middle schools are planning to do it that first week we come back as well. So that's a lot of instructional minutes. And I know it's only like 6 questions per, but the history of iReady is that it takes us forever to do the iReady because we're supposed to assign it asynchronously, and just tracking down the kids, making them do it, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, this is not really curriculum per se, but it is. I mean, can we think about doing it during advisory or tutorial time, or the score time? Or
yeah, that's a good suggestion. I actually wrote in the chat, you can do it during asynchronous. You can assign it for asynchronous work or tutorials. So we have a 2-week window, knowing that if it can't be done, it'll stay open. We just know that once the 2 weeks are up, kids, probably the novelty's worn off. But our wonderful team of counselors have also agreed to follow up with those kids who have some trouble completing it. But I think once you launch it, yes, asynchronous time would be good for this.
And I'd like for them to do it during synchronous time, because it's so hard for them to do it during synchronous.
But we have a 2-week window, and we can definitely adjust as needed.
Great.
This is something we'll be giving the students a link to, correct? It's not something that's going to pop up that they're going to try to do on their own before we've talked to them or something.
Correct. Correct. And it's our first try, so definitely we want to take your lead, and because you're all invested in it, that's what makes it work. So we do want to work with you to make sure that it's timely. We said January. We're trying to, there's another survey, the Healthy Kids survey, is coming out at the end of January, but that was our proposal. So we can definitely work with you all on making sure that you have ample time to do iReady and the SEL survey. So yeah, we just want to make sure that we follow your lead on being able to roll it out so kids do want to participate.
Yvette, just to clarify, or maybe this is Andy, there's a lot of questions on how the survey is going to be administered. Is this something that's going to be pushed out into iPads and then students answer those questions? If you could answer to that.
It will be digital. So yes, they'll have either pushed out or have access. I'll work with Andy on that. Did we go over the elementary, the early kindergarten through 2nd grade? Have we talked about that? I'm sorry. Yes. So we will be giving time for teachers to do that. But for students 3rd through 8th grade, it's digital. So we will make sure that we are clear on how they access that.
Yeah, I believe the survey is a link like Yvette is saying, and either we will share it with the teachers to share it with the students through Seesaw, or we'll push it out to iPads, either way. Guys, I'm gonna have to jump off because apparently there are people waiting in my other training for me,
Yes.
even though it doesn't start till 10:45. So I'm gonna go. It was good to see you all. Thank you.
Thank you, Andy.
Thank you all. Thank you, wonderful counselors and teachers. We so appreciate you jumping into this venture with us. We introducing it, but we can go slow after, we get into it. So I just want to thank you for your commitment to SEL and knowing that it's new to all of us and we're just going to give each other grace. And during this period of getting to know Panorama, but I think it's going to be a great resource once we get the bugs all out of it. So I just want to thank you all, and you have a well-deserved, wonderful winter break. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job,
Thank you,
counselor.
everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Ready?